Welcome to the next chapter of As the Story Grows. I'm Brian Patton. Today we welcome Joseph Grillo, aka Sid Jagger, to the podcast. You might recognize Joe as the frontman for Garrison, but Joe has a new project called Her Head's on Fire with members of Small Brown Bike and Saves the Day, to name a few. Their debut LP, College Rock Clove Cigarettes, came out on July 29th via Iodine Records. Joseph talks about knowing he was going to be a musician at a young age and understanding what that actually meant, Garrison's The Bend Before the Break reissue, and all things Her Head's on Fire. College Rock Clove Cigarettes is a phenomenal, unpretentious indie rock record that transported me back to my early 20s and gets better with each spin. So make sure you check it out and enjoy today's chat with Sid Jagger, aka Joseph Grillo, from Her Head's on Fire. How you doing?
I'm good. I'm just running around like an idiot today. It's been a very good, very productive day. Just, up at 5, getting my kids off to school, food shopping, all those fun things we all do.
Right.
But it's been good. It's been good.
Yeah.
Yourself?
Same. Basically all the same. My son's home from school now, but my daughter is not. So yeah, up at 5. Kids to school, all the same stuff, man.
Yeah, it's awesome, right? We all become our dads.
Yeah. Except for this little chunk of time where we get to pretend to be rock stars. Yeah. So where are you located?
Right now, I'm up in Saratoga Springs, New York.
Okay.
But I've been in Brooklyn for the last 20 some odd years.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Awesome. Where'd you grow up?
Worcester, Mass. If you haven't been, I don't suggest you go. It's
probably
not
drove through at some point. Yeah.
I'm sorry. Yeah, it's all right. Where are you at?
I'm in DC.
I like DC. I'm always so in and out of DC. I haven't really spent a lot of time there. I spent more time in like Baltimore area. Yeah. I know where they're all kind of like the same, but than DC itself.
Yeah. It's Brad down here. What was growing up like for you?
It was all right. I mean, it was, I grew up in central Massachusetts. I was introduced to a lot of cool art and music when I was young. There was a really great place called the Worcester Artist Group, which not only had, this would be the late 80s, like had hardcore shows, but, hippie jam bands and ska bands and electronic bands and performance art and out art and readings, and it was really, really fun to be introduced to all that stuff at a very young age, so that I think I found myself less discriminating later on with art. It all just sort of came at me. It was all just left of the dial. It was all something weird and strange, and I liked that a lot. You said at a young age, like roughly what age were you discovering 14
14?
I'd say 14, 15. I stopped listening to what I was being spoon fed on like hair metal and Paula Abdul and CNC Music Factory, and I started listening to what postmodern new wave music, The Cure and REM and Jane's Addiction and all that stuff.
That's awesome. But what time did you start playing?
Same time. I think I had some friends in a band, and I used to just spend a lot of time in the basement watching them play, just watching the interaction between the members and sort of the communication. And that was more inspiring than a band I would see on MTV or hear on the radio, because that seemed unreachable. Yeah. Whereas seeing my friends play in a band, I was like, I think I can do this. And so I picked up a guitar around age 14.
Yeah, that's rad. What did you start playing in bands roughly that same time, like really young into it?
It took a while. Maybe 2 years. So 16, 17, then I started playing coffee shops, just an acoustic guitar, open mic nights, things like that. I played with a cello player for a little while. And then I didn't have my first band really until I got to college.
Yeah.
For like a 4-piece rock band.
Yeah.
And then it never stopped.
Yeah. It's weird. Some people that the bug gets you and you can't quit it ever. You gotta write. And
I remember telling my parents that, because they were supportive.
mm-hmm.
And I studied theater in college, so they were supportive of that too.
Mm-hmm.
But I remember saying like guys, like I'm like, Mom, Dad, I'm gonna be that guy that plays the local bar like on Wednesday nights, like the old guy, like for drinks and like a free meal. Like that's gonna be me. Like it didn't matter if I made it.
Yeah.
What was more important is just the music was so I don't know. It's like you just it makes everything better. There's something about like when you find a new piece, you work on a new song or a performance, and just
mm-hmm.
you're walking on cloud nine. It's great.
Yeah, because you kind of grew up in that left of center music world. You kind of knew like what like being a musician and struggling or making it work took, right? Like that it wasn't this MTV rockstar life. So you had like realistic expectations.
Well, I always have a soft spot for people that played music before Nirvana, right? Because before Nirvana, the idea of making a living at this was absurd. Or at least the type of music that I was playing or wanted to play.
Yeah.
And wanted to learn how to play. So the idea of that ever being rock stardom didn't even calculate into the equation. It wasn't even in consideration until after Nirvana. So it was just like, yeah, wow, I just want to play music, and maybe, oh my God, if I could play to more than 20 people, that would be amazing.
Yeah.
And I still feel that way.
Yeah.
Because most of my shows are less than 20 people.
Is that like tough sometimes, or you're just like, man, I've been going at it so long that it's tough? Or is it just
no, not at all?
The passion's still there?
No, not at all. I mean, I'm just joking. I mean, the shows range from 20 people to like 2,000 people, and it's super fun. And they're totally different animals,
Yeah.
and they all have their pros and cons, and they're all enjoyable.
What led to Garrison's formation?
I had been in a band called Stricken for Catherine, which was sort of this epic emo math rock metal thing. And Ed, like 13-minute long songs. And Ed, the other guitar player from Garrison, had been in a similarly epic kind of band called Iris. And we had been pals since we were 12 years old. And so when our bands sort of were naturally disintegrating, we decided that we should write music together. And we both had the idea to us, it was pop music.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing pop about it really. Well, from where we were coming from, it was. And so we just wanted to do something that was enjoyable and fun and exercised. Sometimes I find that when you, rather than being completely open to every possible idea that might come across, your spectrum, if you set parameters,
mm-hmm.
sometimes you can get a little bit more creative within the details. So if you set, harder boundaries and say, okay, well, let's write within the pop song idiom, the verse, chorus, mm-hmm. Middle eight chorus. Then now you're forced to do something that you haven't heard before, or something that's semi-creative within that, rather than being like, well, I'm going to write a 13-minute long song. So just on the basis, the fact that I'm going to move through all these different pieces is going to be creative, whether or not any of them are good. Maybe I'm boring the shit out of you for 10 minutes, but then there's that 1 minute that's interesting. If you sort of force yourself to work within a smaller range, sometimes you can force yourself to make more interesting choices.
Yeah. How'd you guys end up with Revelation Records?
They called.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, like I sent out, before we had a tour booked in the summer, like just down the East Coast, I think it was maybe 9 or 10 shows. And they were mostly like, basements or backyards, barbecues and things. And I sent the demo tape out to every record label I could find and every zine I could read. So I probably sent out like 50, Art Monk Reconstruction and Revelation, and who else did I send to? Equal Vision. I don't know. There was a lot. And just in hopes that maybe someone would do a 7-inch for us.
Yeah.
That rather than the demo tape that we had, maybe someone would do a 7-inch. And we got home and Revelation had called. Somebody that worked in the mailroom listened to the demo tape and sent it up the ladder, and they gave us a call.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. You guys
were very lucky.
Yeah. You guys recently did the Ben Before the Break reissue with Iodine.
Yeah.
What led to that?
Well, I've known Casey forever, like right around the same time that Garrison was forming. Actually, before we were on Revelation, Casey talked to me. He was putting out a comp called Ghost in the Gears and asked us to be on it. And, we were just one of the Boston bands from the scene, and it just made sense. So I was like, of course we'll be on that. And then we very quickly started doing records with Revelation. And then I spoke to Jordan about giving us the freedom to do an EP on Iodine in 2002, which we did called The Model.
Yeah.
And then Garrison disintegrated back in 2003, I think. And then recently, Casey started up the label again, and he just asked, do you want to do The Model again? But The Model had been done not too long ago on Arctic Rodeo out of Germany. They'd done a reissue called TV or the Atom Bomb. So I thought, well, I don't want to sell the same record we just put out. So he approached Revelation and said, can we put out the Ben Before the Break? And they were like, sure. They didn't have any plans to repress it. So, that's how that went down.
That's cool. Was there like, what's the word I want? Like a renewed interest in the reissue, as it seems like a lot of bands from that era, there's a lot of reissues and like people rediscovering these like elder emo bands that maybe got lost in the shuffle, right? Not that Garrison was emo, but like,
it's cool, man. You're saying we're forgotten about? We weren't that popular? I'm picking up what you're putting down. I guess so. I mean, it was, actually, when you think about it, it blows my fucking mind that there are people that, we sold, I don't know how many 100 records, like 600 or 700 records. Like, that's nuts to me that many people care about a band that broke up 18 years ago, 19 years ago. That's insane. And nothing I ever thought of when we were doing it back then. So it's very humbling, pretty fantastic.
Press releases you had another project called Gay for Johnny Depp.
Yeah. That band name aged well.
Yeah.
He's a pretty guy. He has nice cheekbones. What can I say? I never watched his films with the sound on. Yeah. That was a fun band. That band was just I don't know if you listened to that band, but
no.
You don't have to. It was just a spazzy hardcore rock band, and it was, that music was very easy for me to write because one of the things that I gravitated towards early on in the music scene was spazzy noise rock. So, Swing Kids, Ass Factor 4, Drive Like Jehu were like the kings of it because they could take it and do it in such a beautiful way. But it's that style of music. And Gay for Johnny Depp is just a funny enough band name to make you look. Yeah. Plus, I'm not a big, I'm not a big fan of testosterone, so I wasn't going to be like, I wasn't going to call us Coffin Nail. I didn't want to sound tough, so I knew that immediately with a band name like Gay for Johnny Depp, no tough guys would show up at our shows. Yeah. It's just, it is a name where you're just like, oh, maybe I'll check them out. See. Yeah. There you go. Yeah. It's memorable.
Let's talk about this new project, Her Head's on Fire. How did this come about?
Touring pals. I was in a band called I Hate Her Freedom. We played a bunch with a band called All Eyes West from Chicago. I Hate Her Freedom is, New York based. And, we're just pals. And Jeff would send me song ideas for other projects, and I think he would just bounce them off me and be like, hey man, can you give me a melody idea for this, or like a starting point, and after doing a couple of those, I just said, why don't we do a band? And he's like, oh, okay. And then he came out to practice, and we were in Brooklyn, and we went out for drinks with pals, and Jeff Gensterbloom was there, the drummer. And he's like, oh, I heard you guys need a drummer. I'll do it, which was great. But then shifted gears in my head, because I was like, oh, wow, I didn't think we were worth your time.
Yeah.
Like, because the caliber of musician that he is, I was just like, oh shit, man. Like, okay, now I got to put more effort into this, and then, Rodrigo, who is the bass player for Saves the Day for the last decade. He's pals with, Jeff Dean out in Chicago, and he, did bass on it. And I mean, I met him at our first practice, Rodrigo. So I'd never met him before. We've been traveling in the same circles. We all have like, probably 50 common friends.
Yeah.
But we had actually never met. So, we had like 3 practices and made a record. It was really fun. That's
super cool. Where'd that name for the project come from?
It's a Dag Nasty lyric.
Okay.
Yeah, I normally take pride in naming all my bands, but all my band names got rejected. And Jeff Dean sent me, and he goes, "How about Her Head's on Fire?" And I was like, "Oh, fuck, you win. That's a great band name." So
it is a great band name.
Yeah, he got that one. So all credit to Jeff Dean on that one.
Nice. That's cool. And because you'd just done the reissue with Iodine, was it easy to be like, "Hey, we have this new project. Are you interested?"
Yeah. I mean, Casey's only question was, "Are you going to tour?" And I was like, "Yeah, of course." And we're not going to play, basements in Ohio like we did when we were, in our 20s. But
right.
But yeah, we'll play shows as many as we can. Get out there and performing is fun. I mean, that's part of the music to me. I having grown up, sort of like I was saying, doing theater and studying theater in college, like the performance it's incomplete without the performance. Do you know what I mean? Like it's, Shakespeare is not meant to be read; it's meant to be heard.
Yeah.
And I feel that like this music is great to have a record of it, but you're meant to see it live. You're meant to experience it live. And I get it's a gas for me to record it or to perform it rather live.
Yeah. Yeah. The record is called College Rock and Clove Cigarettes, which immediately puts me in a frame of mind for what I think I'm about to hear, and it's almost exactly what I heard.
Mission accomplished. Wonderful.
Was that intentional, the naming of the record, or was there like a sound that you were like, this is what we want to try to sound like? Or was it just like the outpouring of what you're writing?
The word I keep applying to everything that we do is effortless. And getting those guys, the 4 of us in a room together, and I think our shared experiences, our shared, I can only speak for myself, not them, but a shared lack of ego. I'm sure maybe they think I have a horrible ego, but things just seem to gel really quickly. And when you're younger, you really want to impose your vision on other people. You want to be like, hey, your bass tone should be this, and I want you to play this. And people feel, especially when you're younger, that the difference between bump, ba ba bump or bump, ba 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 bump is like, that's my soul, man. And if it's one or the other, fuck you. Like, and we're at a point where like, hey man, I'm working with you, the drummer, because I trust you. You do whatever you think is best because you know your job better than I do. And I think that we have collectively that humility. And so the songwriting is somewhat effortless. So the way we sound is simply the way we sound. And the College Rock and Clove Cigarettes, getting back to your question, is I would think, or I would hope, that our music harkens to a time of joy and innocence in music that resonated for me. And when I was, a youth in the late 80s, a lot of that stuff, it was college rock. It was what college rock radio stations played, or it was postmodern, before alternative became a marketing term. And and Clove Cigarettes were a thing, man.
Right. Right. To me, it reminds me of not even like the 90s emo, but like that wave of like early 2000s indie rock bands like Early Martin, Granddaddy, and that sort of vibe.
You'll have to send me a list of those bands because I have a blackout phase from the like early audios to like maybe 2008 because I was in a band on a major label and we were touring with a bunch of like big meathead rock bands, and so I lost connections with the underground.
Yeah.
So I know those band names, but I actually don't know them. Like I don't know their sound. You know, in my mind, I'm hearing REM and Sam I Am and a little bit of Oasis, not that big and grandiose, but you know, not that hooky. But those are the things in my musical touchstone. So I would love to send me a list, please.
Yeah.
Of anything that you think it sounds like, because I'd love to check it out.
Yeah, for sure. Well, yeah, you said you guys are planning on touring still. What's 2022 look like? I mean, just like weekend dates, or I'm gonna go out for.
Yeah, we're going to go. I think we're going to do 10 shows down to Fest. We're playing Fest in Gainesville in October. We're going to be doing some bigger shows July, record release shows, and some bigger shows at the end of July, which I'm not privy to talk about until the ink is dried on the contract. And then just playing as much as possible and getting out there because our record's out. We have a new record, yay!
Yeah, it's rad. What was your lyrical inspiration this time around, like for writing?
It's so funny. I just did an interview 10 minutes ago. Same idea. I have a tendency, or had a tendency in the past, to be a little bit more cutting and sarcastic with my lyrics, and I really wanted to incorporate more joy and awe and wonder into what I was doing. So I wanted to take, still have it be my voice and my vocabulary and everything that I do, but I wanted to sort of, there was a conscious effort to try and make it a little bit more positive and joyful.
Awesome, man. Anything else you want to say?
No.
Okay.
I don't know.
Rock and roll.
What else do I want to say? I don't know. Abortion should be legal. I don't know, all the shit we all agree with. Like Donald Trump's a fucking cartoon gangster. Fuck that guy. I don't know. Like all that fun stuff. I don't know. That's it.
Awesome.
Yeah.
They never tell me who I'm talking to, so I'm always like, all right, where am I prepping and putting my energy towards? I was just like, all right, which member of the band is showing up?
Oh, they don't tell you?
No, I didn't know.
Oh. It's generally going to be the singers, because we want to talk the most and we love talking about ourselves. And this way we don't have to pay for therapy. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's I sit in a room and talk about myself to somebody and pay them a shitload of money. I can just do it with you.
Matchsticks will light if you're not home. Set fire to all you love and own. You think you're safe, but you don't know.
Thanks for listening to As the Story Grows. Our intro music was written and composed by Jeremy Hunt. The As the Story Grows theme is by Bob Nana. If you like what you hear, subscribe wherever you get your podcasts and give us a rating and review. If you'd like to support the show financially, you can join us at patreon.com/asthestorygrows. Be a part of our community and join the ongoing conversation over on Discord. If you enjoy this episode, share it on social media with your friends. Much appreciated, and thanks for listening.
I never felt so young and alive as when I'm diving into a tune. And now I'm learning as I listen along, and the wheels are turning, and I started a song.